think I got you later.
Hey Dave, not for anything. Not for anything. You think we could get our agenda a little bit earlier?
Well, she sends them out. That's usually
Yeah, just this afternoon.
that's the other. You got the other one.
This afternoon. This afternoon.
She sent one out Friday. And she sent one out Monday.
Friday?
She sent one out Friday, she sent one out Monday. And then she sent what she does today is put little updates on, or we missed something, or Sean comes in late or something.
Maybe I didn't scroll down far enough.
Yeah.
I really have nothing to add tonight, just I want to move.
Nothing to add. Come on.
You gonna get that thing painted for me or what?
Huh?
Steve, I don't know if I sent about the region, the guy Grant, I don't know if I'm saying. Alan was telling me. Yeah, Alan.
Oh, yeah, look at the very
Front doors, show me more, like the
hard
old
looking than
9x9.
Cover.
asbestos.
Can't cover.
We're gonna cover, right? They said you need cover.
I pick it up.
Well, the grant administrator says.
And Dave, we're not opening
So
ourselves up
cover
to
it,
anything with this plan.
$20,900.
What's that? No, every town basically already adopted, the county adopted
So I
last
have
time.
all the other grants.
What we did, we changed,
$1 to kickstart cover.
we changed,
You know, they're sitting there.
oh, the kayak.
Halfway rolled.
What are you talking about?
I thought you said firefighter.
No, I'm good for that.
Yeah, the kayak.
So I get a copy of the
Sean's
IRS.
already looked at that.
No problem with the park, there's
The
already
IRS
conflict.
specifically says, you know, lay.
So you're gonna do it up at Berry Ann Park?
We're gonna do both, yeah, I think that's gonna add to our fun. I'm already just talking to people and they say, you know, I'm gonna have lessons on.
This meeting is being recorded.
I thought he was gonna go
Which is covered.
He is, that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna go from Shepherd Lane, across the river, and up the river tour. What he wants to do is river tour to Shepherd Lane.
21,000.
If somebody comes, somebody comes,
Yes, his liability, his liability.
what does he have?
Almost 2x.
1 million.
But then it's covered.
It was whatever shot at.
So it's 36 on top.
36 plus the 21.
What do you mean?
He was just asking.
Oh, you want to, we got that.
That's our New York State guidelines.
We're getting his money, but we already took his last check.
Take asbestos out.
Those things we slept.
And we owe him that. He's done it. And then Sean has, Sean could put a lien on it. So,
Asbestos in this town.
yeah, we have signed an agreement with him. So at the 3-1 meeting, Steve was gonna come in
Right.
and take you guys through it. Once they ratify it, then we ratify it, but it took us forever.
Hi, Chief.
Is it much different than what we decided?
What's the thing with the timer?
That's right, you guys.
What's the exemption, tax exemption?
I'm always here, right? We'll move you up front.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll watch it on the.
We don't know, they keep going through rounds.
I know what you're saying.
The police department keep going through all the time.
Yeah, but I think now they stabilize, like this guy coming in tonight. Yeah, we got the kind of. So I think March 1st, they'll probably have ratified it by then. Now it's Steve Latino and this guy going through all the language to make sure.
Did you put in a rain date for this?
Landlord in the
I think the rate is.
So I,
I'll find out. I'll find out.
Ask.
I think it's the one last year.
And how's Sean? How's Sean Murphy?
He's not coming again. I said, we haven't seen him since you fell.
I called him, you know, about the parking.
Maybe I would go up there. I talked to him, he did a lot of work.
In the truck. Like they're one of the trucks. Why did they do?
I don't have the date picked up, but I'll. Bring up last week.
No, but you don't know. Why did you get this week? Why did you get this week? Oxford Farm.
I didn't check that.
This is the truck though?
Huh?
This is the truck.
Yeah. I thought it was a dump truck.
I don't think it's for Richie. Who's this for? It's piggybacking off of the bill. Isn't this for, isn't that for, right? The one he wants, is that the one Richie wants?
No, that's Richie's dump truck.
But they're not French.
There's your Richie.
I don't care if they don't need it, but.
That's Richie's truck. resolutions are the police ones. Move them up.
Not to get off the subject.
Hey, Chief, which one is it, Troy or? Okay.
You get 10%. Yeah, good, good. They should.
There's more, Mike, there's more of these in if you want it.
Oh, we're on.
The real bottom of the refrigerator.
Okay, I got it.
There's like
Thank you.
2 of them left if you want it.
Netflix?
Huh?
Netflix? Today, it just came out. Full Swing, it's called. PGA Tour is about 8-part series inside the PGA.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was
You
done-
watch it yet?
I just saw half of the first. Supposed to be really good.
Here's one for you. So 5 weeks so far of our fantasy league. I've won 3. I won this week. And the thing that I didn't realize was, because I have Scotty Scheffler, right? I didn't realize that prize money was 3.6 million. So we go by total prize money across the year. So that was a big pot.
Is that what he got from what first race?
Yeah, the first
Yeah, they're raising the money.
Where are you paying that one?
We just have a local one in town.
It's local.
Yeah, like Jason and you know, Jason, Mike Rubisky, a bunch of guys get in it every week. Used to be, I don't think Eddie's in it this year. And I think Jason runs it. So you know, you pick your team at the beginning of the year. You can trade. I don't have a trade because you got to pay to trade it. But you don't know. It's all luck. You pick players and you hope they're the ones that do good. But so far in 5 weeks, I've had 3 winners, which is hard to believe. But there's 22 weeks to go. So. But like this week, like 2 weeks ago, Max Homa won, right? I had him. This week is the Genesis Riviera where he won before, where he grew up playing. So I'm thinking he's going to do pretty good again, right?
It's fantasy what you're playing?
Was that
Football.
no? It's fantasy golf.
Fantasy golf.
Yeah, I don't do. I don't. It's the only fantasy I do because I don't want to pay attention. Golf season, you pick a team beginning of the year and you just watch the tournaments every week, right?
The 8-part,
Just
the 8-part.
because football, I don't know how because guys I would be so confused out
They
there.
spend hours on it. I don't have time. Baseball's the same way.
Baseball would be easier than football. I mean,
Probably.
because they have base hits and that's like
Probably. But they go, but they spend, I know some guys that spend like hours on Sunday morning, Saturday night, picking their teams. I said, and they say, you know, I gotta say, I said, no way I want to spend that kind of time. The golf one's easy.
The answer is no, Margaret.
But I'll watch it. I have
Oh, it's supposed to be really good.
Yeah, good.
Like on the plane, the
Yeah.
private jets, the
Yeah.
swimming pool. That,
I'll have to watch
we'll
it.
see. It's supposed to be good. I've been listening to the review.
You know what? Also on TV.
Other than that,
And I'm gonna move the officers up to the front of the agenda so we can get them out of here. All right, like I normally do.
Dave, run the fire department to the front.
Well, and they're public hearing.
I'm saying, yeah, but you want to before we do the report, you can do the police officer, the dispatcher, and them all up. You want to do the firemen too, since they're here, move that up to the resolution.
It's already in the front. Oh, we have to do a resolution. We gotta leave the public hearing open in case somebody wants it. Yeah, it's the first public hearing. If we had one prior, Joe, I would do that.
Okay.
It's the first one now.
And Joe, and that's the one. PRG.
Yeah, that's the one.
Hey, can you hear me?
Oh, by the way, Denise sent me a text message, said you don't dice on TV.
What dice on TV?
I said, no, they accept it, but tell Wendy she don't dice on TV. I'll tell her. I don't know if she thinks you have another career or whatever.
Man or wife, man is replacement.
Look at this, John.
You wouldn't leave this, all this for that.
Ready? Guys ready? Yeah, you can unmute it. Okay, we're going to call to order our town board meeting, our regular meeting, February 15, 2023, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Everybody that has the agenda, we're going to jump a little bit just because there's a lot of people here and a couple who I want to get back to work because I see they're in uniform tonight. But we're going to jump to, I think Resolution D we'll leave on because he's not here tonight. But we're going to jump ahead to Resolution E and Resolution F. So Resolution E is to hire William T. Dice as a part-time dispatcher effective 2/16/23 at a salary of $19.20 per hour at the recommendation of Police Chief James Janso.
Motion.
Second,
Betty Guerrero, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passed. And then Resolution F is to hire Joshua D. Tucker as a full-time police officer effective 2/16/23 at a salary of $78,016 at the recommendation of Police Chief James Janso.
motion.
Freno Guerrero, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 4-0. Congratulations. You want to introduce them, Jim?
He's a part-time dispatcher from Saugerties. He's got half the academy under his belt. So hopefully we can keep him on board and go through the half towards summer. And Josh is a 15-year veteran. He's a lateral transfer from Town of Hyde Park Police. He brings a wealth of
Very welcome. Welcome to Town of Lloyd. And
experience.
yeah, welcome to the Town of Lloyd, and we're glad to have you. And I'm sure you guys will do well. I know Jim doesn't bring too many bad ones in, so I do appreciate it. Thank you.
You can do just those two.
Okay?
All right,
And thanks for attending the meeting tonight.
Yeah, thank
Take
you,
care,
guys.
and thanks
Best
to your
of luck.
families also.
welcome aboard.
Okay, we're going to move forward on the agenda now. Can I get a motion to open the public hearing for local law B, which is a local law to amend the code of the Town of Lloyd, Chapter 92, rescinding Article 5, exemption for volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers, and replace the same with a new Article 5 entitled exemption for volunteer firefighters.
Motion. Second.
Okay, Mazzetti Guerrero, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So the public hearing is open. Is there anybody that wants to comment or speak on it? If not, we'll leave it open, in case anybody walks in between now and later in the meeting. And also, we've left the public hearing for local law A of 2023, which is the PRD application for the villages in Hudson Valley that was open on the 18th of January 2023. Is there anybody here that would like to comment on that public hearing, for that public hearing? You want to comment, John, or that's fine?
If you have any questions, we're here. We also have our environmental scientist here, Connor Tarbell. If anyone has any questions on soil mitigation plan.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll leave that, again, we'll leave that public hearing open in case there's any questions as we go through the agenda. So we're going to move on to reports. And we'll start, Lenny's out, so we'll skip Lenny's. And Peter told me there's nothing new on the rail trail tonight. So we're going to move on, Mike, to your two. You can do the ECC and then the zoning board, please.
The ECC, there was no meeting this Monday. There will be a meeting next Monday, and Neil's moving forward with trying to require a grant for a cleanup of the Black Creek. So he's working with our town.
He's working with Dave Jenkins, right, from
yeah.
Millennium, right? Yeah, he did tell me that, thank you.
Yeah, and the ZBA, Hidden Gem, New York Stone Home, Upper North Road, the applicant is appealing a determination from the CEO regarding the denial of an application to register 2 short-term rental units, and that public hearing left open.
Okay,
Okay, and that's it.
thanks, Mike.
You're welcome.
Okay, Councilman Frano on Fire District and Ambulance, and if you want to, we don't have events on here yet, but here you can comment on that if you want.
I mean,
about
okay.
It's all right, we'll add it for
All
next
right,
one.
and just a brief thing on the lighting. We were scheduled to get that final light in on Troy, up in
Yep.
Bridgeview. Unfortunately, we got a couple rainy days, and then we got a deep freeze, so if this weather holds up, right now, the water department's a little tied up, so we're shooting for next week to get that final light in.
Good.
And also on lighting, Richie and I, we've been talking and looking at the Bancardi parking lot. We have to work, we have a right-of-way going in there, so we're gonna have to, he's getting me the contact for Verizon, because, one of the main things needs to be done is we need to improve the entrance. So, and once we do that, then we're also looking, there's a couple of spots that need lighting, so we need to look at how we're going to remedy that. So that's it for lighting. As you said, events is not on the agenda, but I guess it will be in the future. I attended their meeting Monday night. They have a 5K race which ends at Tony Williams Field on March 18th. I think it's called the Clover Classic, and it sounds like so far they have pretty good participation, and then they're having some events afterwards. They got a pretty good agenda for Easter egg hunt, Springfest June 3rd, Fall Night Out September 23rd, and they have some different ideas for Halloween this year, and the tree lighting for December 8th. So those are the set events, and they're looking at some others to add. So they're a pretty active group. We just look forward to working with them and help them wherever we can. And the beautification committee chairman has offered their help to try to work together to complement the events. So we're going to try to pull those two groups together a little more and coordinate their efforts. We'll go to the Highland Fire District, Highland Hose Company report for January. There were 30 alarms. Average firefighters per call was 14. Average high call was 29. Average apparatus responding is 2.36. Total apparatus responses is 71. Man hours solely for alarms was 405 hours. Man hours for meetings, 82 hours. Man hours for training, 156 hours. So total volunteer hours by the Highland firefighters for the month of January, 643 hours. So Chief is here tonight and Chairman of the Board, thank you guys. The numbers are always about the same, and thank you. Thank your team. Okay, ambulance. Pretty busy month in January. They had 181 calls, 53 no transports. So that's about what it's running, 30. It was dropped a little bit, but about 30%. The overall average response was 5 minutes and 49 seconds. There were 8 calls that just kind of jumped out at me, and usually Will responds to me same day, but I've questioned them. None of them awful, but there was one that was 29 minutes, but it was 29 minutes with no transport for an ALS. So it's kind of an oddball. But as soon as I get Will's response after he investigates the runs that I questioned, I'll share them with you. And just on ambulance, Dave, you sent me that report. There's a New York State Committee on emergency response for the state. There's like 44 members on this committee. And as I read through, it's a 70-page document. I was going to send it to you guys, but I figured it's 70-page. I kind of summarized it down to a couple of pages. One, overall, the state overall has a serious problem with EMTs and first responders. We know that. We're no different here. We in Lloyd, we're a little ahead. We are not a little, we're a lot ahead of many of the communities, because many of the communities are reporting no response whatsoever. Doesn't matter if you're having a heart attack, what you're having, nobody shows up. They call mutual aid, no one shows up. They go to 3, 4 dispatch before they get an ambulance. So the recommendations, one of the recommendations is this group or this committee is urging the state to help fund this EMS services, because it is at a disturbing rate. I mean, we're very fortunate here. Things they're recommending doing, we've already done. This town has made a commitment, several years ago to fund an ambulance service to provide, quality service. So we're a little ahead of the curve on this, but it's interesting when you read the report, just of what's going on around the state, and they're doing some education, and there's a high burnout rate. It's a stressful. I don't know if anyone's been involved with emergency, that emergency response. You see some things that you just don't want to see. So the burnout rate is fairly high for that profession, and they're working on that to try to get the state to fund, more education, counseling, whatever, to help with the retention and the burnout rate. So I guess there'll be more to come on that. And the last thing is the hazard mitigation, the plan that the county is working on. There was a county kickoff last week at the Highland Station 1, and it's a good turnout. We have I think it's a small window for what needs to be done, but the highway department's involved, the water department, sewer department, police department, and we're pulling together. Tomorrow morning we have a meeting looking at all the exposure that the town has, and the deadline is it the 24th, Dave?
24th, you got it.
24th. So,
First pass
like I
return,
said, it's a very small window for an awful lot of information that's required, but we've got everything's in the works, and fortunately we have a 2017 plan to build on. Unfortunately, I don't think the plan was ever implemented in
It was never
2017.
finished, right. It was
But
never finished.
we're using that kind of as a platform to build on to apply to 2023. End of my reports.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Councilman Mazzetti, School District?
Sure, and every time I do my research and write this report, I'm just so impressed by our young people and all the great things they're accomplishing and what the school is actually exposing them to. And then some of the stuff they do is just exceptional. Like on February 3rd, Senator Michelle Hinchy came to the elementary school, and she came to pick up Valentine's Day cards because our students made Valentine's Day cards for the nursing home. And it really is an act of kindness that these people realize that somebody hasn't forgotten them and that they're recognized. So kudos to Michelle Hinchy, but to our elementary staff and our students for following through and doing something for people that may or may not have someone anymore. This is also our elementary kids again. They have a Kids Heart Challenge, and they started this on January 16th, and they had a lofty goal of raising $8,000. Well, as of right now, they've raised $8,359.74, and they end the fundraiser on Friday, which is the 17th, and all money will go to the American Heart Association. Our Highland Rotary Club every year picks 2 grade levels, one at the elementary school and one at the middle school, and they do a book donation. And what they plan to do is they've already put that in motion. It was started in 2017, and they purchase enough books for every student in that grade level. The teachers give them input on what books they would like them to buy, and then the books are kept, and for future students in that same grade get to use them. And this year, the grade 4 teachers, it was grade 4 that got picked this year at the elementary, and they wanted nonfiction titles such as What is the Constitution, What is the Harlem Renaissance, and the middle school was 7th grade, and they picked a nonfiction book, The Last Book in the Universe, and that's what they're going to be reading and doing a book review on. On February 4th, 20 high school students participated in the Mid-Hudson Regional Science Olympiad. Now, if you don't know, that's from all schools in the region. Bigger schools like John Jay and FDR and Wappingers, Ketchum, and Arlington all participate in that. So out of our 20 kids, we took home 2 second-place slots. We took a second place for anatomy and physiology, a second place in cell biology, a third place in green generation, and a seventh place in environmental chemistry. And overall, the whole team placed at 11th. So that's really great for them. As of right now, the budget is being planned on for the school district. They have right now looked at the proposed levy. It's about $1 million something over last year's. It's $31,847,027. The board's going to have a meeting on February 22nd. If you're more interested on how the cap is developed, it's going to be a presentation on the history of the tax cap and how they're developing it. They will also have more meetings throughout the year before the budget vote happens. And on the 20th, schools closed for President's Day. And that concludes my report.
I think so. Nothing new on the building department that we didn't hear from Dave at the workshop, or on the police. The biggest deal with Jim is he's starting to round up and get more people in and try and continue building his team. And I know he has the events throughout the community each year. So I thought it was a nice post you made today on your page of Brian Scott on the SROs for the school district. So thank you for that. Okay, no old business or new business that we put on the agenda for tonight, so I will open it up to privilege of the floor. If anybody has any comments tonight? Okay, we're going to move on to the resolutions. Motion to approve the minutes of the January 18th, 2023 and February 1st, 2023 town board minutes.
Motion.
Second?
No, all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution to authorize the payment of vouchers as audited by the audit committee.
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Resolution to authorize the supervisor to sign the transient merchant license for the Hudson Valley Guides LLC to conduct kayak tours and lessons out of Highland Landing Park and Berry Ann Park.
Motion.
Guerrero?
Second.
Second.
Discussion.
Yep.
David, I just want to point out that this gentleman is, you and I confirmed, I just want to make it per record, he's going to carry somewhere about $2 million worth of
I think-
insurance.
There's a standard,
Standard,
Yeah.
yeah.
standard policy.
I think it's 1 million, actually. I don't know, Wendy will look it up. There's a standard we have. for-
Is Sean on?
Yeah, he's on.
Yes,
Sean,
can you hear me?
yeah, is that enough insurance, do you feel, God forbid something happened because he's in the Hudson River?
I would say our standard insurance should be enough. I'm not
Okay.
sure what it is. I think it's $1 million. Can you hear
So
me
it's
now?
$1 million each occurrence, general aggregate $3 million, and products $2 million. So it's the
Pretty good
normal
policy
for
there.
everybody,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I would
Thanks.
say that should be sufficient.
And I think it's a great idea. I think this is going to really expose people to a whole new part of our community that they may not have had a chance to do before. So I think it's a terrific.
Yeah, I think it's a good
terrific
idea.
thing.
Any other discussion?
No, I think after they learn how to use a kayak, then they can go out on Black Creek
Yeah.
and enjoy themselves. It's beautiful out there.
Yep.
If anybody hasn't been out there yet.
Yeah, we got a lot of areas that are still unexplored there. Okay, so we got the motion by Guerrero Mazzetti. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed. Okay, D is, and this gentleman wasn't here because he's at the academy tonight. So resolution to hire Troy McEwen as part-time dispatcher effective 2/16/23 at a salary of $19.20 an hour at the recommendation of Police Chief James Janso.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna move down to Resolution G, and let me just give some background on this a minute. You guys are all familiar with the Lloyd Development Corporation, with Lloyd Community Development Corporation, which is basically what we used to call the revolving loan fund. Okay, it's been kind of inactive, I'll say. I mean, we haven't been, stagnant's a better word, right? So it's been stagnant. We only had 3 or 4 loans that are still outstanding, and people are paying on them. And we had an application come in, so we kind of had to get this corporation back together. We had a couple meetings last year just to release liens and stuff, which are pretty simple, but we had found out our rep from the bank was gone, no longer around. We found out some of the old names on the committee weren't around anymore, so we got some of the people who were on there. We got a couple new people who said they would volunteer, and I think to me, there's a good deal of money in that revitalization fund, and we ought to start promoting this a bit more. So we'll have to figure out how to do that. So I want to not reestablish, I want to update the committee. We're going to go back through the bylaws. Sean will, of course, stay on as our legal counsel, and we have Jennifer Alwick now is the Sawyer Savings rep, who's been extremely helpful in the first couple meetings we had with her. The rep we had from Sawyer Savings in the past didn't attend a meeting for the whole, anytime we tried to have one, so she's been helpful. Mark Elias volunteered to be on it, and some of these terms are 2 years and 3 years, and it's kind of how you divide them up. Charles was already on it, and Nikki Ansavina from the Economic Development Committee said she would be on it, so. And then Margaret, we need a secretary, so Margaret said she would be on it. And then the officers you can see below, the supervisor's always the chair. Of course, Sean's the council. Treasurer would be our bookkeeper, because that's a town account. And then again, the secretary, Margaret's gonna play that role. So that's what it's about. I don't know if anybody has any questions on it, or
Yeah,
if not, I'll entertain a motion first, then we have discussion.
Motion.
second discussion.
Okay, go ahead, Joe.
There's an interview process for the open positions, or?
No, it wasn't for this, because it's a corporation, no. I mean, I asked a couple people if they had any. I think, Mike, you and I talked, and a couple
Well, I got a couple applications for a couple of
loans, right? Yeah,
potential loans.
And we don't have any loans that are, they're not being paid on all?
no, we had one that the person started paying on it last week, so I think we're good now again. There's only 3 loans outstanding right now, too. So there's probably, I don't know, there's a good amount of money in that account. It's like $500,000.
Yeah, it's a great thing.
It's a great thing, and I'd like to start promoting it more if we can. That's what we have to figure out how to do.
Yeah, and I'm glad that all these people volunteer their services. I know it's hard to get
We
volunteers.
could probably actually, if I count the names, there's 6. We could actually put one more on, so 7. So there's still one open. So if anybody has a candidate for the 7th position, we'll entertain that. Any other discussion? Okay, so we got a motion. I
Second,
think
somebody second it?
Joe and,
Yeah,
yeah,
second.
Frano
Ready to vote.
did what? So we can take a vote on it then. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And thank you for your services, guys.
Okay, Resolution H, is to authorize the supervisor to sign the fireworks contract with July Forever Fireworks for the town of Lloyd's July 1st, 4th of July display in the amount of $10,000.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I, resolution to hire Douglas M. Freeman as MEO at the hourly rate of $25.01, effective 2/27/23, pending satisfactory completion of DOT physical, which is budget supported with the recommendation of Richard Klotz, Highway Superintendent.
Motion?
Guerrero Mazzetti, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Okay, motion carried. Resolution J, this is to purchase a 2023 International CV 515 cabin chassis with Tenco plow and body dump truck through piggybacking on the Onondaga County government contract at a total cost of $134,483 using unexpended revenue that we'd put in reserve for this truck at the end of last year, effective immediately.
Motion?
Second.
So I just want people out there to know that piggyback, there's actually a process, a bid process that this truck went through and
Yeah.
all our vehicles go through. So that gives us actually, they bid on giving us the best possible price, a price that you couldn't get at a dealership if you went there. So, and allows us to piggyback. So I really appreciate that Richie Klotz, our highway supervisor, followed the process and got us the great deal on this truck. So thank you.
Okay, all right, Wendy, you want to take a roll call on this since it's money? Good amount.
Sure. Frano?
Yes.
Plopcheck?
Yes.
Guerrero?
Yes.
Mazzetti?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. K is a resolution to designate $120,000 of highway revenue fund. So this is money also that he gets with the state on the CHIPS program, permanent road improvement project of Reservoir Road and its assignment to budget line 5112.43. Are you in a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Mazzetti Guerrero, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Okay, Resolution L, we talked about this a little bit last week, and I sent you all an email, so I think you have all the information. So this is to expand parking at Tony Williams Field. I know most of you recognize we have, in the fall especially with the midget football leagues, we've had problems in the last couple of years with parking and crowded, ambulances not being able to get through. We've been using the highway department sometimes as an offshoot to it. But we found a way to put at least 50, probably more like 75 parking spots at Tony Williams Field. And in order to do that, we first have to have the engineering work done. So we met with Hudson Land Design, and they gave us a quote for $4,200, which is attached as Exhibit A. So I'd like to read the resolution, and then we talk about it.
Hey,
So,
Dave, can you just, before you talk about it, because you even had a because I was on the fence about this resolution, I really was. But you talked about a grant and the reason why you
Yep.
want, could you expand on that before you read the
sure,
resolution?
sure. There's also there's a series of grants, but the one that I'm looking at first is there's another grant from the county where they've allocated $2 million of their COVID dollars for Parks and Recreation. Very similar to the $5 million grant they did for water sewer that we got the $500,000 for last year for the water tank. And in order to apply for them, you have to have a shovel-ready project. In order to be shovel-ready means you have to have the engineering work done. So I think as we see these grants, we have to, as a board, decide which ones we want to go after and prioritize the engineering funds that we want to spend on. So that's a little more info on this as to why I think it's important to get the engineering work done. So it's ready, it's on the shelf. When we get the application from the county, I know how to fill it out since I did last year's, and we don't need, much more help on it. So I think that's what you're asking
Yeah,
about, Joe.
'cause
Yeah. Okay, good.
So the parking, the lot gets used that much?
Oh, yeah.
During the, I thought it was just a couple of times a year.
No.
In fact, for this Clover 5K race, they're asking to open up the parking lot at the highway
Yeah, but-
garage.
Yeah, you
That's that,
can't-
but that's but those things aren't really, there are people are coming out and out of town, people renting the facility, holding an event, like a tournament. But for our local
No, that's
things,
our town events committee
Our town events,
hosting
okay.
a 5K
It's
event.
5K, our events
with
committee.
our own event.
Our own event.
And not only that,
But
I
they don't
just-
have, the point is, we
I-
don't have enough parking.
And I think since you got the 3 tennis courts in there, you got the nice set of basketball courts, and then since you popped the tunnel in under South Riverside, more rail trail people park there instead of parking at the other lot. So it gets quite a bit of use. I've been out there on a weekend where people park along Riverside Road, which I don't think you want that either. So, and then we had the problem with the ambulance getting through one day. So it's $4,200. I think it's $4,200 that will be well spent, and we could fix this problem so we don't, every time we have an event, we don't have to, or something out there, we don't have to try and figure out how to move cars around, so.
Dave, when you write the proposal, can we also either write into the proposal or look into it? I really believe that that parking lot across from the fire department on New Paltz Road is really underutilized. Or if we blacktop that, put some signs up, more people would use that, lessening the burden at Tony Williams and even creating more spots.
Yeah, but that's going to be a separate resolution. This is just for Tony Williams Park, and I would have to go get a whole new proposal. I want to get the Tony Williams one done, and then if we have other ones, we can
'Cause there's
always
so
get
much
it done.
money in that parks thing you told me about.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we can
nice.
put them all in, but, that, I don't even think we'll need engineering work on, Joe. That's just paving and striping, right? So,
And
so
signage.
this one here, I want to stick just to the Tony Williams field. And if we have future ones that we want to bring up, we can do that. So let me read the resolution, not every word of it, of course. So resolution at the meeting of town board held again today, February 15th. The town intends to expand the existing parking lot at Tony Williams Field, located on South Riverside Road. Purpose of adding additional parking spaces between the existing lot and South Riverside Road. Towns received a proposal for engineering-related services from Hudson Land Design, Civil and Engineering, Environmental Engineering Consultants, which will include the preparation of a plan set, will include grading, erosion control, sediment control, and construction details for the proposed parking lots improvement for an estimated cost of $4,200. A copy, of course, which is attached to Exhibit A, whereas the town wishes to approve the agreement and authorize the supervisor to enter into said proposal on behalf of the municipality. Now therefore be it resolved as followed. The proposal for engineering-related services for Tony William Park between town and Hudson Land Design, Annex here to Exhibit A, be same and hereby approved. And myself, the town supervisor, is authorized to sign said proposal on behalf of the town. So I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, Mazzetti, Freno, all in favor?
I'd like to make a roll call on this, I want to make a statement when I vote.
What's that?
I'd like to make a statement when I vote,
Yeah,
so.
go ahead. You want to take a roll call and do a statement?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and I just want to make a comment that Exhibit A is laying up here on the
Oh,
counter.
okay.
It's actually
Right
not
here, I'm sorry.
attached right here. Frano,
Yes.
Plavcheck,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
So,
Mazzetti.
before I vote, I support anything that makes our community better, for our taxpayers and for our community members. I'm voting yes on this because I want to see the cost and if it's effective for the number of parking spots we get, but that doesn't mean I'd be voting yes for the parking lot depending on what the cost was in the future. So my vote tonight for the engineering is a yes.
Okay, motion carries 4-0. Okay, we had no comments on the public hearing on local law 2 on the firefighters exemption, so can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
Second.
Mazzetti, I think John beat you that one, mate.
That's fine, he's a fireman, he could do it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so the public hearing is now closed, and we want to move on to the resolution. Again, this is to enact local law number 2, 2023. We already have a local law on the books, and we're rescinding it and replacing it with this, and it's an exemption for volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers to replace the same that was introduced at the town board meeting on February 1st at 4 o'clock p.m., whereas the public hearing has been held on the 15th day of February at 7 p.m., at which time all interested persons were given an opportunity to be heard. Whereas within local law, it's a type 2 action pursuant to State Environmental Review Act and is exempt from further proceedings under such act. Now therefore be resolved, Town Board of Town of Lloyd, that local law number 2, 2023 be enacted as in a form attached here to Schedule A, as fully as set forth herein, being a local law to amend the code, Town of Lloyd, Chapter 92, by rescinding Article 5, again for volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers, and replacing the same with a new Article 5 entitled Exemption for Volunteer Firefighters. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carried 4-0.
How many, 1, 2, 3 pages are, or 2 pages are just the local law?
Yeah, that's,
You can go on to N.
and, let me get there. Okay, we had the public hearing that we opened on January 18th for the local PRD, for the local Law 8 to PRD for application in Village of Hudson Valley. I think we had some comments at the last meeting that we recorded. No future comments tonight, other than John's offer to answer questions. So can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion?
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Question, discussion.
Oh, go ahead.
As far as the traffic light, has the traffic light hasn't been approved yet? I haven't heard anything. Is that approved, John?
So
Bless
it has been approved by the New York State DOT. So there was a conceptual approval way back in September, and essentially they are ready to issue the permit, but for these last couple of follow-up items, mainly the PRD. I mean, they were waiting for the secret as well, which we obtained back in December.
So you're saying it is approved, the light is approved?
Yes, New York State DOT has approved the light.
All right.
We have that in writing that is approved, 'cause I haven't seen
I
it.
have another question.
I don't think they've issued the permit yet, though.
Another question on the PRRD. According to the town code, it says that for a PRRD it has to enter on a state road or a county road. It cannot enter on a town road. So I see that main entrance is on Mayor Drive, and that's a town road.
Right, so the code says that it should have access on a state or county highway. So we do have access on a state or county highway. We have the right in, right out on Route 9W. We do have other access off of Mayor Drive, which everybody's known about from the beginning. So we have two forms of access, but Mayor Drive is not our sole form of access.
According to the map, from what I interpreted, the only access would be the north end of the property. There's that steep hill there, that road that comes down.
There is a road that you could go from 9W past the ALF up until Healthcare Center Lane. So there is technically access.
And to the PRDs.
Correct.
And I also think, John, if I read through the notes when they went through the environmental work, DOT recommended also that we make the main access come off of Mayor for safety reasons. Primarily, the light will be there. So I think that's what's written in here if you read through the.
Yeah, and it is written here, but the thing that, again, and I've brought this up at other meetings, is that we have these loosey-goosey laws where it says, no, you have to go on a county road, and then there's a paragraph under it that says that the board could overrule it. But yet, we didn't have any discussion on that, asking us to overrule it.
But
and
we're
why.
not approving the lot tonight. All we're doing is closing the public hearing.
Right, and just, the law doesn't say that you can't access a county, you can't access via town road. It just says you must have access on a state or county highway, which we do. And in fact, we had originally talked about having a left turn lane from 9W if you're going northbound. But I think everybody agreed that, nobody really wanted that because that wasn't very safe, and we were going to have the light anyway at Mayor Drive.
And yet we have trucks that are working in there making illegal lefts as of right now, out of that project. Mike, you have any other questions? 'Cause I have
Yeah,
some
I
questions.
mean, as far as the map, my interpretation, I couldn't see that exit out on 9W. I know the exit on Mayor Drive, so I'm confused,
So it's a right-hand turn in and a right-hand turn out from the parking lot if you're going southbound on 9W.
To me, it wasn't clear on the map, so
It should be right on the map.
John just showed me a map, and it's hard to distinguish. I don't think John was able to show me where that exit was or entrance.
You just give me a second.
I know we had the large maps.
So this is a rough copy.
I mean, it should really be clear.
Right, so the entrance is, it's right next to, I guess there's like a dentist office there.
Yep.
So it's the entrance and exit from 9W is right next to the neighboring property, which is like the dentist.
Yeah, so the PRDs that you're applying for up on the hill, I didn't see no road coming down.
There is. There is absolutely a road coming down. I don't have the latest map on me, but here.
I think you said the map, but it seemed like the way the project is designed, it was more designed to go out to Mayor, and the law clearly states in our code that it should exit and enter on a county road.
No, it says there should be an entrance and exit on it,
And we do have an
and
entrance.
they have that. It
exit
doesn't
on
say
us.
the main entrance should be on there, Joe.
Supervisor,
Yes.
can I speak to that briefly? It's
Go
Paul
ahead.
Van Cott. Yeah, I apologize. I have COVID. That's
We
why I'm
can't
not
hear you very
here
well, Paul.
tonight. Okay. I have COVID.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, I apologize for not being there. But, this is something that, first of all, the PRRD consists of the assisted living facility and independent living units. So to the extent that you need literal compliance with the code, there is access to and from 9W to the PRRD. Okay, as a practical matter, and the planning board looked at this closely throughout,
Here's the entrance and exit, and then
there's
here's the
desirability in having the bulk of the traffic come out to the light, the new light that will be installed
you can go through the ALF.
because of the safety benefits that will provide to your citizens. So that's the rationale for having two accesses to the property.
PRD here.
Hey, Paul, thank you for that clarity. Hey, Paul, I'm so glad you're here, because I just want to confirm, because you've said this numerous times, that the board has the right under the PRD to grant it, that we can request them to do anything, any changes or modifications we want. Is that correct? And we can just say, no, you told us, if we wanted to.
Joe, thanks for asking that question. I actually just looked at the article that's posted in your local paper today, and I was never contacted about that article, and yet it seems to quote me. So I think, certainly the board always has full discretion to do what it wants with a local law. What you have here is you had the Ulster County Planning Board favorably recommending adoption of the law and providing an advisory comment about green practices. So that's what I saw in this article, and I hope that's sufficient for a response, because my throat's about to give out.
So I want to comment, unless you're not done, Mike. So under the recommendations, one recommendation was to make it, all different people could end up there. So to me, that's affordability. And at your presentation to us last week, or 2 weeks ago, you, under affordable housing, you were able to get out of 197 because you got 1 unit for every affordable, so that was about 19 units. The thing that I'm concerned about is when I asked you, or not you, but I asked the people there what the price is going to be charging per month, you guys couldn't tell me. So what is the affordable going to be? And how are we going to guarantee it remains affordable and that these units don't become just part of the grand scheme of things and get full price rental? Because they were granted additional units because of, to be
Correct.
affordable.
So you already have regulations on the book that cover all of those questions and scenarios. So affordable is a certain percentage of the mean income in Ulster County. I don't have that percentage, but it's stated in your code.
It's 30% of 92,000.
Right. So that sets the price. And then we also have to put restrictions on the property and the units. The ones that are affordable have to remain affordable. As many times as it passes hands, it still has to remain affordable. So your regulations also require us to put restrictions on the certain units that are affordable.
And those will be in the beginning phase, so each phase will have a percentage of the affordable. They're not going to be all in just one phase. And
Well, again, if you look at your regulations, it does require them to be constructed within a certain spread out. It has to be constructed where you can't just wait to the very end. You know, there's a process and procedure as far as
And that should be part of the
constructing.
site plan.
Correct.
And you guys identified which units that are going to be affordable? Have you identified that yet? And
We haven't identified the specific, sites that will be affordable, but assuming if this law is passed, that would absolutely be the next step. We have to put together a plan. As per your code and your regulations, we have to prepare a plan regarding affordable housing, and that would be part of the plan, but
the other recommendation was
Can
for
I
it to be
add-
more
can I
green,
add to that,
more,
Joe?
sure, Paul.
Just briefly, just to close the loop on that, the local law that you have in front of you on the table tonight, when you look through it, you'll see a condition at the end that requires, as part of the site plan approval process, for the applicant to provide a affordable housing plan that comports with the regulations and touches on all the things that John first just mentioned.
Yeah, that's section 3B. Okay, so,
I'm still,
Oh.
some questions.
okay, go ahead, ask a question.
So, the other concern I have a lot of concerns. I'm concerned about the distance of the properties. They're supposed to be 10 feet apart, now they're 5 feet apart. The recommendation, how are you going to make it green? Because one of the recommendations of the county was advisory, but not forced, is being more green. And how is the project going to be more green? Are you putting some type of solar in? Are you doing more energy efficient furnaces that are electric? The other concern is the parking. Each unit only has 2 parking spots. There's no community parking lot. What happens if a resident has a birthday party or there's a holiday? Where are they going to park, and what does that parking on the street affect the fire trucks if there's an emergency? The fire trucks in Piedmont, I'm glad you're here. It shows that the fire trucks go between the 2 storage units, and it's a very steep grade. Is it going to fit that? Is it going to be able to go up that hill in bad weather? Is that the best way for it to happen? The contamination, Dave answered that tonight at the tri-board meeting. I'm concerned about, is there bleaching? And Dave says he's got documentation on that.
It's right here.
Yeah.
You want it?
I'll look at that. And that's about it.
Okay, so the public hearing's still open.
I have a large map here. You want to show me?
Oh, the last thing was the sidewalks. They promised to build the sidewalks down, I'm sorry, I forgot one thing. The sidewalks down into the Grand Union Hannaford's Plaza, which I think is a great idea, but you don't have an agreement with the person who owns the land. So, when is that going to happen, if
right,
it's
well,
going to ever happen?
we're working on that. I mean, they're a private property owner, so
And that's what I'm saying, I think we're premature at this point. There's a lot of unanswered questions,
and there's a lot of work that still needs to be done.
Well, and that.
You have the
there is a
whole site
planning
plan
board-
cycle to go through yet.
Yeah, there's a whole site plan review process that we.
All we're
still have
doing
to
is the
go to.
local law. This will go back to the planning board, and many of the questions you ask will be part of that site plan review.
Right, the parking, and I think the county comments
Right.
had suggested, like during the planning.
And the
review
parking
process.
is the code for the parking. It's two units or whatever, 1.5 per.
Right, and we do have visitor parking located throughout the site, and there is a visitors or a clubhouse that has separate parking.
Okay, so do we have the motion, we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
We already motioned it. You're
We
voting
already
on it.
motioned it, John.
Oh, I thought you
I
said
said we
we
have a
want a
motion to close the
You're
public.
so eager to motion.
Re-motion.
You can't re-motion it, John. So this is for the public hearing. Of course,
Just
we'll
to
have
close it.
the local law on the next meeting, and, we'll go through the motion on that. So we're not trying to approve it tonight, we're just closing the public hearing. So you want to take a roll call, Wendy?
Frano,
Yes.
Plavcheck,
Yes.
Guerrero,
If this is to close the public hearing, yes.
All it's for, yes.
Mazzetti.
No. Because I think we still have a lot more work to be done.
Okay, but we don't have any public comments, so that's why we're closing the public hearing. Okay, motion carried 3-1, thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, did you have a question?
Yeah. John, this is the PRD here, right?
Correct.
So it doesn't show the exiting in the PRD to 9W, which the code states that you have
This
that.
is the PRD too, though. The ALF is also part of the PRD. So this whole piece is the PRD, the cottages and the ALF.
That's correct. Okay, any other discussion on any other topics? If not, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'm going to request we go into executive session. I'd like to discuss a contract that's being negotiated.
Okay. Can I get a second?
Second.
This meeting's adjourned, and we go to executive session. We've adjourned the meeting.
Just want to know what the contract is about.
It's, which contract?
Police Department.
PVA.
We've been negotiating for a while.
Yeah. So we're going to executive session at 7:55 or whenever everybody clears.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.